You know what? That's a lovely, breezy, summery sound right there.
Ella Chi, and she's on the show later playing live, and before that, David Bowie.
Speaking of live, he's still with us, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mr. It's Mr. Barry Cryer. I'm delighted.
Morning, all. Morning.
Barry, how lovely to see your handsome face here. Well, downstairs they phoned up. They said, is George Clooney booked on the show today? I said, I don't think so. They said, is Cary Grant still around? I said, I don't think so.
Happens all the
They
time.
said, is it Russell Crowe? I said, no. They said, oh, it's Barry Cryer.
I know, in the street people shout, Brad, you know.
Yeah,
it's a trick of the light, but I can see where it comes
and that's
from.
Angelina sometimes.
Oh, heavens.
Although your wife did once kindly say you looked rather like Joseph Cotton, I believe.
Yes, indeed, she did. I think she meant Joseph Cotton. But she now says I'm turning into Walter Matthau.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Which I can live with.
As long as she's not turning into Jack Lemmon. or turning to Jack Lemmon for comfort.
Well, there we are.
Barry Cryer, ladies and gentlemen, is here, and he will be chatting with us on the show, but also, this is exciting news. If you're a lover of British comedy, if you're a lover of the greats of British comedy, and Barry Cryer is one of the greats of British comedy.
Oh, shucks.
I know you hate to hear the truth spoken, but I'll carry on. He's going to be doing 2 nights this year at Brighton's Fringe Festival. That's coming up next weekend, or no, is it the weekend after next? Saturday
it's
the 15th?
next weekend.
Next weekend,
yeah.
Saturday the
15th
15th
and 16th.
and Sunday the 16th of May from 7pm. Now that's
With my friend Ronnie Golden, I have to say.
right.
This is a two-hander.
Mr. Golden, formerly from the Poodles.
Indeed, indeed.
So
my mate.
What if people are down in that part, down in Sussex, if they want to go and see you at the Fringe Festival, what do you have in store for them? What will the evening entail?
It's song-based. It's all songs that Ronnie and I have written, no covers. And and jokes in between, you know me. And him, he's very funny.
Yeah.
He's too funny, actually. I'm thinking of calling it a day.
Get
No,
someone
he's
less music,
great.
yeah. Get Justin Lee Collins.
But it's song-based.
So, song-based, but and you go through the back catalogue, or is this all new material?
Our greatest hits. It's our greatest hits. And we do Edinburgh every year. We do the Fringe every year. So
So is this a warm-up for this year's Fringe, or is this some stuff you don't
no,
do
this
last
is greatest hits.
Okay,
It will
this is
be
really...
crystal new in
Wow.
Edinburgh.
Are you thinking of recording these? Will there be a CD that people can purchase on the way
I
out?
don't know. I don't know what's in prospect, Jonathan. I have people who deal with that sort of thing, as you know.
Yeah. He's got an entourage with him. You wouldn't believe the rider, ladies and gentlemen, when he said he was going to do the show today. All the things. So we had a wallpaper, one of the smaller rooms.
I know.
Yeah.
Stand a stair lift, I asked for.
Not for nothing, he's known as the J-Lo of British comedy. Certainly not for his backside.
From the front.
Hey, there we go. But I wouldn't have thought of you as a singer-songwriter. Please forgive me if I'm out of line.
People don't. No, not at all. I started... yawn with your mouth closed, Jonathan. You're very polite. I started in musicals, one of the first things I did all those years ago,
Really?
50-odd years ago.
Which ones?
Espresso Bongo.
Wow! Espresso
which
Bongo.
was ahead of its time, with
By,
the great Paul Schofield.
Was it Mankiewicz or something like that?
Yes, Wolf Mankiewicz wrote the book, and Monty Norman, who subsequently went on to Bond themes and all sorts, didn't he sing Robin Hood, riding through the glen?
He may well have done. Well, the Bond theme, interesting enough, was written for a different musical, which he once played for me. Yeah, it was a musical based on in India, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, and the song was going to be "I was born under a lucky star." He sang that to me once. And now I can't bloody listen to the Bond theme without thinking of him doing a bad Indian accent.
It doesn't work. No, I used to sing in musicals, so I'm not known as a singer, I understand that. But apart from silly singing on Sorry I Haven't a Clue, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But no, I like singing, and Mr. Golden says I can hold a tune. So.
Have you been in a stage musical, though? On stage, I mean, Espresso Bongo was the movie.
No, we don't talk about the movie, because none
so
of
you
us were
weren't
in it.
the movie. I see. So
Paul
it was the stage
Schofield
version.
declined. Lawrence Harvey played the part.
Wow, but Lawrence Harvey was
You wouldn't
pretty...
expect me to comment.
But he was pretty... Lawrence Harvey was pretty good, wasn't he?
He was, but he wasn't Paul Schofield.
No,
I'm sorry.
The great Paul Schofield. So you're on stage with it. So you've had the grease paint is in your veins. You've actually walked
In
the
my
boards
veins,
in that respect.
my veins, yes. I opted for blood and didn't get it.
Yeah, no, the grease paint. Yeah, it was the only option left. What's your favourite musical you've been in? Then would it be Espresso Bongo?
Not a lot. Well, it must be Bongo because it was ahead of its time. It was almost like a Brecht and Kurt Weill sort of musical. There's some very bleak songs in it. It was based on Tommy Steele's rise to fame, except Herbert played bongos, not a guitar.
Yeah, they called him
Paul
Herbert.
Schofield played the
Was that a wise choice, Herbert, for a rock star on stage, you think?
Herbert Rudge, I think his name was. And he played the bongos, not the guitar, but it was very closely modelled on Tommy.
I love the bongos.
Well, I'd played bongos for an audition
I
once.
love the bongos. I used to have an album called, I think it was called Introducing Little Stevie, but it might not have been, but it was the first Stevie Wonder album. And he does a bongo track on there. I tell you what, it would blow your socks off.
Really? I played bongos for an audition.
Did you?
Yes, for that very show. And, I hired them. I got 5 in my pocket, and they cost about £3 to hire for 2 hours. And I couldn't play them, and they fell on the stage, on the floor of my audition. And I sang a song called Espresso Bongo.
Wow.
And Monty Norman came on the stage and said, "Where do you get that song?" I said, "I wrote it in my bed sit last night." He said, "Thank God for that." They thought they were going to get sued, it was a song. I think I got the job on cheek.
Yeah. Well, wow. And how old were you then, Bowie?
Oh, heavens above. I was 22.
Wow.
22, I think.
And now you're what, late 40s, early 50s?
Oh, bless your heart. 75, if you must know.
But still, what
snarled.
remarkable. Well, you've got all your faculties, or at least all that I can see. All
Have
those
the visitors been?
but what a remarkable head of hair you got, Bowie.
Yes.
Well, I know, and paid good money for this.
It's a lovely... No, we have a lot of people in who have paid good money for it. I can see that's the real deal right
Yes, I asked my hairdresser for highlights, and he gave me a video of all my previous haircuts.
there. You look like a younger...
Do you want my hair,
You look
Ruthie?
You look like a younger David Gower. That's what you look like.
Oh, I can live with that as well.
Did you ever die, though? Did you go for a period where you fought the encroaching whiteness?
No. A man said to me years ago, he said, "I'll make you a star." He said, "You wear a blazer and very sharp trousers and dye your hair black," because mine had already gone.
Yeah.
And I passed on that one.
Who was it, Simon Cowell?
I will not name names.
Come
No,
on, who was it?
Simon.
Who was it? Who was it?
Had it been Simon, I'd have a second thought. I've forgotten his name. And that's true.
Wasn't
That's
Jonathan
true.
King, though, was
I forgot
it?
the guy's name.
Okay, so, well, you listen, I'd like to see this. I don't know whether I'd be bothered to go all the way down to Brighton, but I'd like
No,
to see
I
you doing this.
understand.
It's not that far.
Well, it's too far for me to travel at the weekend.
Oh, so grand.
No,
Isn't
it's
it?
not so much that. You know what it's like, Barry. You get to a certain age, really, you've got a couch and you've already spent hours making it fit your buttocks properly. You
Yes.
don't want to be anywhere else.
I do understand.
Do you go out much? Do you socialise much?
Well, who was it? Homer Simpson said, "What's all this with travel? We always finish up back here."
Exactly, exactly. You keep, I can tell, just by the fact that you quoted an accurate...
Can I
quote
say
of
hello
Simpson.
to my darling wife?
Will she be listening?
Yeah, because she's fractured her hip and her left arm.
Is that the only reason she tunes in? How do you think that makes me feel?
Exactly. You've got a captive audience.
So she can't get away from the radio, she can't turn it over.
Terry, own up, love. You've never listened to him, you've never liked him, but you're trapped at home.
Terry, usual time, usual place. He's in Brighton
This
for the
is how it
weekend. We've got 24 hours clear.
This is how it happens.
Never say on radio when you're going away. Let's put some music on. We don't have anything from the Espresso
No, we
Bongo
don't.
cast album,
No?
unfortunately. No. We might have something from Twang, though, or something else from that period. I'm not sure.
Oh, Twang. Yes.
Let's put something else. What do you got, Andy?
It's Kings of Leon, Sex on Fire.
Very similar. That's a great sound, Kings of Leon there. I tell you, if you ever, I don't know if you've ever seen an older gentleman popping and locking, but some of the moves Barry was trying around the studio there were... Oh, I tell you, you're through to the next round.
It really puts the break in breakdancing, what I do, doesn't it?
The king of the one-liners, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Barry Cryer. Is there anyone from the period that I grew up watching TV who you didn't work with, who you'd like to, and who are the names that we'd be most familiar with that you did write for? I know you worked for Danny LaRue for a while, and...
Oh, Danny's Club, yeah. And one night, I've been dogged by good luck all my life. One night, David Frost came into Danny's Club and said, "Who wrote this?" Had a drink with Frosty, and then I became a Frost writer. Yeah. So, a series of lucky accidents. The one I did write for a little bit, but would like to have written for more, was Dave Allen.
Oh, yes.
And mates of mine wrote for Dave, but I'd like to have written for Dave more, because I admired him very much. And Eddie Izzard said to me once, seeing Dave Allen made me want to do it.
Well, those early shows, and that was a unique television show because it had the sketches. He pulled off the kind of monologue in a way that I don't think anyone else has ever done on British television, or probably American television either. And he had those sketches as well, and they kind of worked.
The blend was marvellous in the show. And, of course, even very young people, younger than us, Jonathan.
No, there's no one
remember seeing this man in a chair, and, of course, with the incorrect cigarette and the
whiskey.
glass. And, he was so stylish, Dave. I remember him starting with black hair. There's a theme emerging. We're talking about hair. On a Val Doonican show, and he was black-haired, and he was doing sort of Irish jokes. And you thought, well, he's quite nice and good. Then, apparently an opera singer said to him in Australia, "Why don't you do an act like you talk to me?" And he started just talking.
More gentle,
And more gentle and wry, and not so much the jokes and everything. And found his style, and it was just terrific.
Well, and he kind of, when he left TV, he walked away, didn't he? He didn't come back on.
That's right.
And he, I know he died a few years back.
Yes, he dropped off the radar.
But
Though.
he just
People
is,
didn't talk about
I think it was a deliberate thing, though. It's a bit like, it reminds me a little of the career in a very different way, and had a very different style, but Stanley Baxter.
Oh, yeah.
Who's also huge and brilliantly talented, and obviously loved the flamboyant performance, but he just, when he went.
No, he's back.
Is he back?
On radio.
Thank heavens for that.
I was working with him 2 weeks ago, with him and Richard Bryars. They do a thing called the Two-Pipe Problem, set in an old folks' home. And it's not a series. They're plays, afternoon plays. They do 2 or 3 a year.
Wow.
And Stanley rang me up, and I said, I'm not an actor, Stan. He said, no, we've got a part for you. We want you to play it. And I said, what's the part? He said, it's an old comedian who drives everybody mad, telling jokes all the time. And I said, Stanley, what on earth made you think of me?
Let's find out after this. This is BBC Radio 2 online on Digital and on 88 to 91 FM.
88 to 91 FM. From Jonathan Ross, BBC Radio 2.
Yeah, Jonathan.
That's a very nice sound. But
Of course, the Prince, yes.
The Prince of Laughter is here with us. Well, you two dare to dismiss that. That was,
Dear heaven.
off the top of my head, that's not bad. The Prince could have been worse.
I didn't ask you before. Have the visitors been?
The King of the Chuckle, the Prince of Puns,
Oh, dear.
the Sultan of
Go on,
silliness.
I'm not helping you.
I know you're not. Barry Cryer's with us, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine Michael McIntyre gone to sea. That's what we got right here.
Mike McIntyre is the son of the late Ray Cameron, with whom I wrote all the Kenny Everett shows.
Wow. Now you see where else
Everything
you get that?
links up in a very
does.
spooky way.
Yeah, where else you get that kind of thing?
Exactly.
And he's a lovely man, a very talented man, a very funny man.
Indeed.
Does he phone you up? Do you offer any material to younger comics, Barry, when those you know, though, you meet, and in that case you're kind of sort of related to?
They call me Uncle Baz, the
Uncle
young
Baz.
stand-ups in Edinburgh. It's lovely.
Do you offer the material?
Get far too... I wouldn't presume.
Oh, come on.
I get too much respect. I don't get heckled. I miss it.
Would you like to be heckled?
Yes, I think I'm going to tour my own heckler.
Come for a walk with me one night. You're down Oxford Street.
There was a lovely thing on the radio the other week, young stand-up in Liverpool, and it was a real recording of it, and someone in the audience shouted, "Get off!" And he said, "That's not very witty. Can't you say something topical?" She said, "Get off now." Oh, it's an art form now, heckling.
Well, of course, my favourite heckling stories are those involving. Is it what's the theatre in Glasgow? Was it the Empire?
Empire Theatre, Glasgow.
yes.
Like and Bernie Winters.
Yes.
Is this the one? And this is, I imagine, true. Certainly, it's become
Yes.
showbiz legend.
The act started with Mike on his own on the stage playing the clarinet, and the audiences.
I never knew he was playing the clarinet. What was he thinking?
Have you got your bleep device ready? And no, I'll clean it up. And he's on his own, and just silence, no heckling. And then Bernie, with his bowler hat on, the funny one, stuck his head through the curtains. Went, "Hey," and a voice in the audience said, "Oh, there's two of them."
Was it the Empire in Glasgow that apparently Des O'Connor got such a rough reception from the audience he fainted?
Yes, he pretended to faint.
He
Des tells
pretended
the
to
story
faint.
against his top. And Eric Morgan said he sold advertising space on the soles of his shoes.
Showbiz, eh? You wouldn't change
Oh.
it. For many years, of course, I think of you as working... Nowadays, I think of you primarily as a radio performer.
Yes.
Because we hear you on a regular basis on Sorry I Haven't a Clue, and I know you write a lot for the radio studio. But you worked in TV for many years, of course, and you had a partnership with John Junkin.
Oh, John and I, yes, wrote a lot of stuff together. And Dick Vosborough, the great Vosborough.
What kind of volume are you talking about? How many shows a year would you be...
Oh,
what sort of material would you have generated?
It's an amazing era, because she went from show to show. We're very lucky. Probably double figures, I'll put it now.
And so you worked for various LE comedians. Did you ever write for the Two Ronnies?
Oh, yes, I was founder member, because I'd met Ronnie Corbett with Danny LaRue in the old days, so... Ron and I had known each other, and then I met Ronnie Barker, and I was a founder member of that.
The Frost Report, did you write for that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
These are great.
Do you remember when we met, Jonathan?
When did we meet? I'm just
When you
trying
were
to
a researcher, you were known affectionately as Pushy Jonathan.
Was I really?
Everybody liked you, Pushy Jonathan.
Was this what? Did I book you for
what was
something?
the
I think
company?
I booked you for Fame with Davis. Would
That's
that have been
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I was booking guests for Fame with Davis. I don't know how to boast, but I was instrumental in launching Bobby Davro.
Were you?
Yeah,
That's you, is it?
I told him to change his name to Robert so he'd get the serious
Sure,
crowd, but he wasn't
that's
listening. Yeah, Bobby Davro.
Didn't you hear about the petition?
Yeah, they tried to get me out of the business even then. Oh, those were the days. Who do you like now? Who do you like listening to now? Which comedians do you think
there's
have...
so many.
Because I know you love the new guys, you love the young guys.
Ross Noble.
Ross Noble.
yes.
Ross Noble, the Geordie, I just think is superb.
And why is that? Because of his
He
inventiveness,
riffs off
his
the
style?
audience. He's got a whole lot of stuff in his head, if need be, but you see him just riffing off the audience. My wife and I went to see him at the Apollo Theatre here in London, and he's talking to a vet in the audience. He said, "Do sheep get alopecia?" And he starts discussing sheep's alopecia with this vet. "You don't know. Fine vet we got here doesn't know about alopecia and sheep." Oh, it's wonderful.
I don't want to stop you mid-flow, but what the hell was that accent? That was you know, I don't know if we can
Slightly
still
north
do
of
that.
Newcastle.
Yeah, we've got people from the BNP phone up to
It
complain
was
about you now.
entirely accurate.
Oh, no.
Jealousy and bitterness is not a pretty thing, Jonathan.
I
That
tell you what-
accent was spot on.
You know what it was? It's because I was looking at the time, and you're so close to Cheryl Crow. I thought you were just Cheryl Crow.
Yes.
Cheryl Cole. I thought you were doing her.
Cheryl Crow.
Cheryl Crow is a very
Nurse.
weird reference to slip in there.
He's out of bed again, nurse.
Let's put some more music on. I'll calm down. Oh, that's the like, and
Like, yes.
I like it.
Oh, you know,
I like the like. What's wrong with that?
Oh, yeah.
Barry Quiet's here, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, Barry Quiet, OBE.
Oh, shucks.
Quite rightly, quite rightly. You can see him live, ladies and gentlemen, with Ronnie Golden at the Brighton Fringe Festival. That's Saturday the 15th, Sunday the 16th of May, 7 p.m. They'll be doing funny songs, they'll be doing jokes in between, and there may well be a bit of break dancing, I believe.
Indeed. Indeed,
Only
yes.
if the audience make enough noise. Worked with just about everyone, we've established that. Worked with all the big names in British comedy, but you go way back when, of course, you mentioned when that record was on, The Windmill, Bruce Forsyth, the Windmill Theatre here in London, 1957. Was that when they still had the girls on stage?
Yes, they did.
And were they allowed to move by that stage?
No,
or were they
it
still...
was very decorous.
Yeah.
And then the onslaught of the strip clubs killed off the Windmill because they couldn't move at the Windmill, and afterwards strippers did little else but move.
Yeah, of course.
And we did 6 shows a day, 6 days a week, 36 shows. And I met this man, Bruce Forsyth, and I watched him nearly every performance every day. He was brilliant then. And we had honours boards outside the theatre, all the alumni, the Tony Hancocks and everybody who'd worked there. And the old man, Vivian Van Dam, the boss, who we affectionately know.
What a great name.
VD. And he put Bruce's name on the honours board while he was still working there. He thought so highly of him. But they'd open a newspaper, Jonathan, when you came on. When you're a comic, they'd come see the strippers.
Yeah.
They'd open a newspaper.
But they were already stripped. I guess they were struck, weren't they? Or-
Yes.
I don't know what the word would
We used to
be.
go behind the scenery and mutter rude things to try and
Try and
make
make
them
'em
wobble.
laugh.
They were our mates.
They
were
must
our
have been,
mates.
they must
Try
have
and
been
make
allowed to
them
wobble. They were allowed to wobble a little bit. Did they wobble for their favourite customers? I bet people were going in trying to make them sneeze and stuff. weren't
Oh,
they?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And there was one stripper, not at the Windmill, I heard about, who was covered in doves at the beginning of her act, and all the lads, of course, had thrown birdseed on the stage.
Well, I remember. You remember the TV series Budgie, the great TV series with late Adam Faith?
Oh, yes.
I remember not knowing what it meant. Well, I saw it as a kid, and it struck me as being incredibly kind of glamorous and dark and quite scary as well. But a brilliant show. And he had a job working outside a strip club in which he would say, as people walk past, "They are naked and they move. They are naked and they move." And I'm thinking, what's that mean? And for some reason, I thought maybe there was some place you could go see dead people lying around naked.
Yes,
I didn't know
yes.
what was going on there. But that was a direct reference to the
Yes,
Windmill
yeah.
period, I guess.
But post-Windmill, because they weren't allowed to move at the Windmill.
yeah.
Bless their hearts. The fan dancer moved. She's swished about with the fan.
So you must have known that you had good material if and when you got a laugh.
Oh, you were thrilled
In
if you
front of
got
a crowd
laugh.
that were there to see
in
the
the long
ladies.
reaches of the afternoon.
Yeah.
There was a lovely Geordie comic called Jimmy Edmondson who came on one afternoon, and a fellow in the front row ostentatiously opened a newspaper, and Jimmy said, "Oh, I see you brought your own comic." You see, there's an accent. You see how accurate I
I've
can
got no
be?
idea what he's saying there. I have no idea what that
Oh,
was.
dear, this is sad.
Who do you write for people now? Who do you give
No, I
jokes
don't
and who
write
you
for
don't
people.
at all?
No,
Not
I
at all.
write- Me and Mr. Golden, Ronnie Golden, we write the songs. No, I haven't written for a show for ages.
Not really?
Because there's a brilliant breed of performers, it stretches back to Python and before, who write their own. So if you're an old freelance around the place, it got a bit quiet.
But there's still, like links on shows. I have writers. Lots of people have writers. Even comedians who do write their own material.
Yes.
Like Jimmy Carr, who writes his whole stage show himself and is brilliant at it. But when he does a show which involves
Yeah.
links, I know he uses writers. And so there's lots of people who do.
Yeah, but
use
there's a lot
writers.
of good young writers about.
Yeah.
I'm in the home.
You can't beat the old fellas. Come and do some stuff with me. I haven't got any work on, obviously, but if that's why I feel safe in making the offer. But
Hear this offer, listeners. Hear this
we'll
offer.
do something together.
Yes, why not?
Who are your closest friends of the people you work with, or the people we would know?
Well, Ronnie Corbett, Ronnie and Annie, the two of our oldest friends. I met Ronnie Corbett the very same day that I met my wife, and I tossed a coin and married her. I said to Ron, nothing personal, Ron. No, the Corbetts are known way back. Michael and Helen Palin, friends way back.
And of the people you work with who were friends as well, who was the best at delivering the material? Who did you really enjoy giving stuff over to?
Eric Morecambe was the quickest brain I ever worked with. He did a great line to David Frost one night. We were standing around doing awards at the Palladium years ago, and Frosty was there, and Eric Morecambe and I'm just hanging about, and Eric looked at David Frost and said, "Are you in New York now?" Which is the best definition of David I've ever heard.
That's fabulous. Eric Morecambe really... Morecambe-wise, I mean, Ernie was underrated, I think, though, because obviously Eric was the star, but Ernie could get a laugh. And initially when they started, it was kind of more of a double act. They were both doing the jokes, is that right?
They modelled it on Abbott and Costello, the American comedians, and Ernie was much more the sort of aggressive straight man, and he used to smack Eric's face.
Yeah,
which is funny looking back.
That was the start of the act, when he used to run across and to get the audience's attention.
That's right. And then Eddie Braben, who was a friend who I admired very much, he changed their image completely. Ernie became the pompous little man who wrote plays and all that.
Yeah, with the wig and was tight, and he gave him a very well-defined, clearly defined comic persona.
There's a young actor called Bob Golding, Jonathan, touring at the moment. He did a show at Edinburgh and in London playing.
I heard of this show. I heard it was very, very good indeed.
Yeah, well, the thing is, how do you portray Ernie? And Ernie is a little ventriloquist doll, treated very affectionately and warmly, but I don't know.
It's not the legacy. Not the legacy you'd really hope for, I would imagine.
No, I would like Doreen's views on this.
Well, people who weren't. There's a one star in particular. I don't know whether you worked for him much at all, but Tommy Cooper.
Oh, yes.
Who I would love to have seen perform.
I worked
live.
with Tom a lot.
And he's what a unique talent. There's kind of no one like that around anymore.
No,
am I wrong?
It's amazing that if you... I was responsible for some of them, but he had joke books and everything. If you saw some of Tommy's jokes on the page, you'd say, oh, he's not telling that. But Cooper telling it, it was like a shared joke with the audience. I know this is a terrible joke.
Yeah.
You know it's terrible. I know you know, and you know I know. Like a big joke with the audience. I've just told a terrible joke. You know?
But some of his material was sharp and on the money, regardless of the telling. Because I know sometimes you hear people, I've heard people tell jokes, think that's a Tommy Cooper joke. They're still doing it, and they say, and that must be something you see a lot. I imagine material that you've kind of heard, even if it isn't directly lifted.
Oh, you have to button.
Someone's come to the same thing.
You button your lip when you get to my age because you're going, oh, I remember that in 1953. Be quiet.
Yeah.
These are young people giving it a twist and doing a nice job.
Well, there's a great story, and I won't name the names, but Bob Monkhouse was on one side of this equation. I won't name the other person, but he very publicly said to someone that that was a good joke, but I did that 15 years ago, and the guy was furious, said, no, you didn't. And then a few days later, and I know because I know this happened, he received a VHS in the post, and it was a variety performance from about 1977 with the exact same joke at the beginning of it.
Well, this is where the technology comes in now. There's stuff on record that there wouldn't have been many years ago.
Well, I hope, and this is now get this for a segue, I hope that the performance you do with Ronnie Golden winds up on record. So
Indeed.
Those who can't get to see you at Brighton, at the Brighton
have
Festival,
a record of this.
What are you snickering for
Just
over there?
You've just done link after link after link that sort of...
He's like Ernie Wise without the talent, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the legs. We'll be at the Brighton Fringe Festival. You can go and see Barry Cryer with Ronnie Golden. Barry, it's always a pleasure. It's never a chore.
Same time tomorrow.
You're welcome back anytime. Mr. Barry Cryer, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.